Please let me fix your bachelor home, okay? We've delayed long enough. I'm tired of this. Today, we are going to redesign the home of a real live bachelor man, a man about town, a subscriber who sent me his room, and we are going to design it specifically to his design taste. It's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna show you how to do it. We're gonna learn what to do with that big blank wall. We're gonna learn about styling. Styling is really difficult and annoying. How do you do it? I'm gonna break it down for you. We're gonna talk about color and all the other things that men are afraid of. We're gonna talk about all your deepest fears. Here we go.
I got no drip in my pocket. Must have forgot it, or maybe I already lost it.
Okay, I had a thought, an important thought while I was working on this video, which is that I believe we are in the metrosexual era of interior design for men, by which I mean in the 90s or like 2000s, and I'm explaining this for like the younger children watching, we use this term metrosexual to describe a straight man who also took pride in how he dressed himself, because that was like a notable thing. Otherwise, men just like wore this or that or this or hair like that. And then this term metrosexual came around to mean like, oh, he's a straight man, but he also wants to look nice. And we don't use that term anymore because it's just commonly accepted that like men also work at their appearance. It was like a really weird time that we even had a word for that. And I feel like that's the era we're in now with interior design, where more men are taking interest and care in like curating their design style and their homes. And it's like not all the men do it, but we're moving towards a time where it's just what everybody does. It's just a normal thing to do. And one thing that I think is frustrating, I would imagine as a guy, is that like when I go onto Pinterest and stuff, it is a lot of imagery aimed at women's interior design preferences. And so I think that kind of sucks for guys. So like to support the male movement towards taking pride in what your home looks like, we need to be posting more content and inspiration that orients itself towards men's interior design preferences, because there are some differences, you know, generally speaking. But yeah, that's basically where I think we are in time. More men are starting to take pride in what their home looks like, but I think eventually it's just like, this isn't a gendered thing. Like, why wouldn't you want your home to feel nice? So I'm very happy to see more men getting interested in this topic. And I also think that there's like not as much content made for them. So this is the series of videos where I just talk to the dudes, but the rest of the videos are cool too. So today we're looking at a room submitted by one of my subscribers, and if you want to submit a room, there's a form in the description of this video. Some of y'all ladies are submitting to the Bachelor form. Please stop doing that. It makes it really hard to find people to do this video. There's a separate form where people of all identities can submit, but this one is specifically for bachelors. I will link both in this video. This room is submitted by David. And David says, my name David, from Boston, and I collect copious amounts of Lego. Ever since I've seen your videos, I've wanted your advice. Fabulous, great place to start. And these are the photos David submitted of his bedroom. You know a man lives here, you can tell a man lives here. Black, brown, and nothing on the walls. That's 'cause it's a man house. Okay. This is David's home, and he writes about his bedroom. It feels nice in general, but I feel it is a bit empty feeling and that it lacks some personality. I think the problems are the walls, but to be honest, I need some more suggestions from someone better at this than me. Cool. Honestly, like, this is a great start to a bedroom. It's a really cool room, first of all, with like the slanted ceilings. I like that. David has already brought a color into the room. I see green. Yes, it's forest green. It's a color. He's put drapes up on the walls. He has a full bedding set for his bed, which I rarely see. Like there's a sheet, there's 4 pillows, it looks like. There's, you know, a comforter, a duvet, I never know the difference. A bunch of different layers. A little bit of color variation. That's more than I see in most of these spaces. And he has a bunch of sources of light. So that's honestly awesome. But I see what he means. He wants to step it up a notch and make it feel like more personal and lived in. So let's go over real quick and check out his inspo images. When you submit your room for consideration here, I also ask subscribers to submit a couple photos of their like ideal design style or something that inspires them, and David sent the following. So this is a design style that I see submitted actually by a lot of men, and I would call it like woodsy boho light. There's a lot of emphasis on plants, a lot of wood materials, eclectic art usually, white walls, something that keeps it feeling light and fresh and airy. I see natural light playing a big role in these rooms, and that makes sense to me for someone who likes a lot of plants, is like that kind of earthy feeling of life being in the room. So I think it is great to have windows in your room. It'll be a little harder to get this vibe if you don't have any windows in the room. The color palette is still pretty minimal. These images mostly stick to green, brown, maybe a pop of black, but there's still room to bring in interest in other ways, which we'll talk through. If you don't know how to find your design style, you don't know what your design style is, I made a whole video on that just for you. It takes you through the whole process. It's super fun, and you'll love me forever. I will link that video. But for now, we're gonna move forward with David's room.
Let's go.
Okay, so first thing we wanna do is like diagnose what's working, what's missing from David's room, and then compare it to what makes the rooms work in the inspo images he shared. So first of all, in David's room, it's very functional. This room does the functions of a bedroom, but it's also uninspiring and doesn't have that much personality, and it's not like super inviting and homey. And this is like the common thread I see in a lot of men's spaces, is that they're like, well, why would I spend money on that? It's not necessary, you know, it doesn't add to the function. But if you also want the room to feel inviting, you gotta get over that hurdle. Like the things that make a room feel homey and lived in and inviting and personality, a lot of it won't be just function. It's gonna be superfluous shit. Interior design is superfluous, newsflash, it's completely frivolous. But it's not really that frivolous to have a home base that feels like a sanctuary to you, like a place you want people to hang out. So yes, we will invest a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of money in some things that are not like entirely necessary, but they're gonna uplift you in your life. So just hang in there. Okay, the color palette is going in a good direction, honestly. It's nice light and bright walls. He's got these great windows that bring in that natural light. He's got a bit of green going on. I see this aligning very well with the design style he shared. Kudos to David, he's got some textiles going on, meaning there is this wall-to-wall carpet on the floor that does make it cozier. It makes it a little more homey, not so stark. There's the drapes on the walls. We've got the bedding going on. Yeah, we've got 3 sources of light. That's always the goal, in my opinion, is like 3 other sources of light in a room other than like overhead lighting that makes us all look ugly. This lamp in particular, this is the man lamp. Every man I know owns this lamp. Do you know how I know that? Because Justin also has this lamp. I think this room, we just need to layer in some personality. So great place to start from. Now for my critiques. General critiques of the room. I'm gonna say this little shelf between the windows is just a little wimpy. It just looks a little pathetic there, right? Functionally, it's fine. It does the job, but vibe-wise, it's a little wimpy. I will say the dressers and nightstands are like hardcore Bachelor furniture. Like this is the Bachelor furniture. It's always like this black, sits straight on the floor, no legs, no adornments, no handle or like drawer pulls, but we can make it work. I'm not gonna make you buy new furniture. I think we can dress this up. Okay, this globe in the window is the light reflecting on me. I can't really get it to move. I've tried moving the light, so that's annoying. If it's annoying to you, it's annoying to me too. Moving on. So the first thing we're gonna do is something that's gonna annoy you guys. We're gonna add a rug. What? But the room already has a carpet. Yes, but the carpet or a rug equally add the functionality of something soft on the floor, right? But the rug on top is going to add a little bit of color, a little bit of pattern, a little bit of personality. So the rug here is not functional, no, but it's gonna get us towards that design vision. And the good news is you already have a comfy carpet on the floor, so the rug doesn't need to be that thick. You can definitely get like a cheaper, thinner one that just has a cool pattern or some fun colors you like. And speaking of color, the easiest idea here is to just continue the green, right? We see green in the inspo images, there's green in the room, let's continue the green. You can do that, but I would push you to look for a rug that maybe has some green, but also has just like a little accent color in it. That accent color is going to be what takes this room from being just like man green room to like a designed room. That accent color does a lot of heavy lifting, because otherwise this room is just like white and green. A two-color color palette is not my favorite. If you can look for an accent color that you like, then A, we've got a little bit more interest in the room, and B, you can use the colors in that rug to dictate what you decorate your walls with, what colors you look for the rest of your walls, because if you know you already like those colors together on your rug, you'll like it in the rest of your room. That's your little cheat sheet. However, if you can't bring yourself to get an accent color in your rug, then it's fine, we can do the green rug, but let's at least look for a green rug that has like some pattern, especially like some curved lines or organic shapes. That is another way of bringing interest, because in a man's room, there's a lot of right angles. There's a lot of right angles. All of us struggle with that. I think most people's rooms have a lot of right angles, and you have to kind of work to bring in some curves. And it's one of those things that like, you don't know it's missing until you realize it's missing, and then it's the only thing you can see. So try and bring some like curved lines or organic shapes or something just to add more interest. And the inspo that David has is very like organic, like bohemian, nature-centric. So we don't want a lot of right angles. Like those are organic shapes. And the last note on the rug, do not let me catch you with a 5x7 rug in there. I'm gonna guess, even without knowing the measurements of this room, you probably need at least an 8x10, okay? Don't fucking show up with a 5x7 rug and think I'm gonna be happy about it. If you don't know where to start, I highly recommend you check out Revival Rugs. I love them so much. I've been talking about them and no one's been paying me for over a year, but now they're paying me. They are sponsoring this video. And speaking of men and rugs, I just got a rug for Justin's office. He picked this one out. It's from Revival Rugs. They have a whole collection of like one-of-a-kind rugs. They also have washable rugs. They also have their like studio collection. Justin picked out this really cool warm red rug that went in his office. I still have to do a whole room makeover for his office, but just bringing in this rug already was a game changer. Already made it feel cozy and welcoming. It's got a really cool, unique design. Revival rugs are great. I've got a Revival rug in my living room, Revival rugs all over the place. I use them in room makeovers. The colors are great, the patterns are great, and they're at a really good price. Like, a rug is so important in your room, and it should not cost you an arm and a leg. I'm gonna put a link in the description of this video where you can get 20% off your first order with Revival. If you do nothing else in your space, get a fun rug you love, make sure it's high quality, and you can build your entire room design from there. Mwah. Okay, now let's address some of the lighting in the room. I really love that David has 3 sources of light, and he's got these like glowy, paper lantern-y lights, which I think work really well for his style. I'm just gonna say they're a little like short and wimpy on those nightstands. We're not using the height of the wall or the height of this cool, tall room very well. I don't want you to get rid of the lights on your nightstands though. We're just gonna move them, and I'm gonna show you where else we're gonna put them later. For now, let's not use those lights for your nightstand lights though, and let's get something that uses a little height. You know I'm gonna say a sconce. Let's get a sconce. When looking for a sconce too, let's think about how we can bring in that accent color. I just Googled orange swing arm sconce. So it's a sconce you can like move around where it points. And there are these cool vintage ones from Etsy, great price. They're mid-century, which like most men love. And it has a nice curve to it. Like we're already doing, I'm gonna say we're doing the Lord's work here. And so we can get those up on the wall. It just like, it raises the height a little bit. It brings some fun, negative space and tension between the nightstands and the light. And just taking that light off of the nightstand, letting some air be between them, some space be between them, is going to contribute to that airy feeling in the room. You know, all of our furniture is sitting flat on the rug. All of the lights are flat on the furniture, and it's like everything is just very heavy and flat on top of each other. But in the inspo images David showed, there's like light and air and negative space, and everything's not just like piled up, like sucked down by gravity. So let's try and get some breath. Let's get some breath in the room. I feel like a yoga instructor or something. 𝗙𝗜𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗢. All right, now let's talk about color. Whether you're a man or a woman, we're all afraid of color. Color is scary. It feels risky, right? But listen, if we keep going down this road of like green and black and nothing else, the end result is going to be disappointing. So if you're nervous about bringing color in, this is what I recommend. Bring in little bits of color through the things that can be moved around, through things that can be taken to other rooms or put on different walls when you feel like it. Things like lamps, art that goes on your wall, frames that go on your art, throw pillows, throw blankets, small little, tabletop accessories and stuff like that. These are little things that, like, if you don't like that artwork in the bedroom, you can move it to the living room, you can move it to the hall. You might like it somewhere else. And I think it's a very low risk way to bring color into your room. Very, very low risk. So let's talk about getting some stuff on the wall, like David said. So doing a little bit of sleuthing, it looks like David is a baseball fan. I actually can't totally see what this poster says, but there's a baseball field in it. And he says he's from Boston. So yeah, could be a baseball fan. I don't actually think this is a picture of Fenway Park. I don't think. Frankly, I didn't even remember that Fenway Park was in Boston until I Googled it to research for this video. So my baseball knowledge is limited and not very finely tuned. For all I know, this is Fenway Park. Doesn't matter. Whatever your interest is, find a cool way to like riff off of it, not just like right on the nose. I like the poster he has, but if you want to like inject a little more into the space, go on Etsy or something and Google something that's like a little tangential, like Fenway Park graphic art or vintage photo, Red Sox painting or prints. There's some abstract interpretations, lifestyle scenes, minimalist bullshit. For whatever your interest is, it's kind of fun. Instead of just getting like a poster of the thing, look for something that's like, takes a little decoding. And that's the difference between like a sports poster and like art, basically. That's the cheat sheet. Kind of like the Red Sox content that's like, if you know kind of thing. That's gonna be more like wall art rather than a sports poster. That's a tip. For whatever your interest is, whether you like diving or SpongeBob, or I can never think of any male interests. I'm so sorry. Mountains, globes, whatever your interest is, I'm so sorry. I'm so bitchy in these videos. I feel like these are my bitchiest videos. And I can't stop. I'm sorry, I can't stop. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're making progress. Now the question that we should all ask ourselves in a given room is, what's the focal point of this room? It might have a natural focal point, like where does the eye go naturally, or we might need to like kind of fabricate a focal point. But what calls your attention? To me, it's obviously this back wall. We've got these like sloped ceilings that kind of lead the eye to this point on the horizon, which is the back wall. We've got the windows, la-di-da. So it's very naturally framed. And I'm sorry to say this, but I think the curtains that David hung are actually not helping him in this particular space. Because of those sloped ceilings, like I understand he can't really hang the curtains very high or very wide. And it's kind of making this wall look more cramped and making the windows even look smaller than they are. I do feel bad saying this because I love that he hung the curtains, but this is a rare case where I feel like the curtains are actually making this wall and this focal point less impressive. It's just because of the sloped ceilings. It is kind of tricky, but I've got some solutions for you. Hopefully you can use those curtains in another room. I would take them down in this room, and I would just do like a window shade up there instead. Maybe like a Roman shade, like maybe canvas. You could do a woven shade as well, but I think like a canvas shade, nice and light, keeps you in that like organic vibe. And then this is what I would do if I were you David. I would Google A-frame bedrooms or even attic bedrooms. A lot of attics are shaped of this, and get some ideas of what other people do in a space like that. When I'm looking at these photos, I Google like attic bedroom. Nobody has drapes on those windows because the sloped ceiling just makes it difficult. It makes it feel more cramped in like a space where the ceiling's already coming down. But that's a good way to get some ideas for your space. Or what I will advise you to do, something very impactful for that wall, for that focal point, that would also be functional and get you towards your design style, is to just cover that wall in some long shelving, wall-to-wall shelving. I'd say slap it with one long shelf over top of both windows, and then do 3 sets of shelves between the windows on the left and on the right. And now we have a space for your Lego collection. He said he collects Legos. If you collect something, if you have a passion or an interest, dog, give it a proper shrine. Like, it is so cool and like rare to have interests. Like, having interests is cool. Get it up there. Let people enjoy it. Let you enjoy it. I would do this shelving thing. It does not have to be very expensive. You get some long planks. You can put them on basic L brackets. If you don't want to see the brackets, you can kind of paint the brackets to match the wall and they'll kind of disappear. But yeah, boom. Now we've got a display area for your Lego collection, figurines, stuff you've built. You can even put some like bins or boxes up there to hold loose Lego pieces, whatever. I don't know what your collection looks like, but give it a proper home. Throw some books on there too. It doesn't even matter if you know how to read. Most people don't know how to read. If you do, it's an added bonus, but these are just vanity books. These are books for vibes, and that's okay. Most people can't read, and that's fine. And then I'm gonna say, let's take those nightstand like glow lights we had and pop them over on the shelf, and boom, you've got some vibey uplighting. Even more lighting, like, this is cool. I'm gonna say this is officially cool. I would definitely say throw some plants on there, especially given your design inspo. So if you're handy, you can install these shelves yourself. It's really not that difficult, I promise. Or if you're not into doing labor, or you think that like thinking that you have to do this yourself is gonna make you delay and postpone and it's never gonna happen, hire it out, bro. Or have some friends over to help you do it, make it a whole event, hire a TaskRabbit. Like, it's so worth it. I also value doing things myself, but if it's going to paralyze you and keep you from like moving forward, just hire it out. It's okay. Especially if you like don't enjoy doing like handy things. That's fine. It really doesn't matter. I can do other things with my time. But now we have a focal point, and this is already looking like a dope room. Okay, y'all, let's turn our attention to the other main wall. So we've got like a little dresser guy going on over here. Again, it's functional. We've even got a lamp. That's the lamp the men have. And I think we just want to like elevate this wall a little bit, and small adjustments will go a long way. So first of all, let's bump that dresser off the wall a bit. When possible, we want to give furniture a little bit of like breathing space, basically, rather than having it shoved in corners. So maybe center it on that wall. Yeah, mostly we just don't want it shoved into a corner if we can help it. Wow, we're breathing. It's light, it's airy. We just moved it over a foot. And now for a little bit of styling. And if you are stumped by styling or you're new to the game, this is literally what I would recommend. This is gonna sound dumb, but I would literally go onto Pinterest and search men's dresser. And this is gonna bring up images that are like styled by brands that sell dressers and styled for a male audience. So like, I do see some differences between the way men and women like styling. I see that a lot of like men don't seem to like to put a mirror on their dresser. Maybe that feels like too vanity area for them. But I do see like some cool larger artwork. I see that men tend to go for a lot more asymmetry rather than symmetry. Obviously, you can style however you like, but if you really just like need a starting point, this is what I would do to get some ideas. If you see like a dresser styling layout you like, start out by just trying to copy it one for one. That's the best way to learn. If you don't know where to start, feel comfortable doing just copying stuff. And then after you've copied for a bit, you'll find where your own personal taste differs. That's genuinely how I think taste, how you build taste. It's okay to start by just copying other people and then seeing how it sits with you, seeing how it feels, seeing what you like to adjust, and you'll evolve it from there. So I'm definitely say, let's get some art up on those walls. Again, if we can bring in a little bit of color, maybe that accenty, like ambery orange would be cool. And I actually don't mind a black frame in this space, which you'll never hear me say again. I don't know why, but I don't mind it here. Let's get that little mini art frame up on the wall. Again, it just gives it all a little bit of breathing space. It uses some of that vertical height. And then let's get a few more styling items on that dresser. I know we also already have a lot of lamps, but like, I saw this one and I thought it was cute. Put it up there. And I'm linking as much stuff as I can in the video description. You know what else I think would be fun? I just want to like make this corner more three-dimensional than just that one wall. So we've got this tiny little strip of wall on the side. We could put some like little wall-mounted planters up there. I think it'd be fun for this like boho kind of vision, brings more life in, faces the window, delightful. I don't really like a hanging planter or a macrame planter. I don't know why. I would rather have one that just like hooks onto the wall individually, but to each his own. I'll never know what you do in your own space. Okay, boom. This is a dope wall. Like tiny little things, tiny little investments. And hopefully these are things that you can just like move all around your home. So if you find you don't like that piece of art there, like no big loss. We can move it and try it somewhere else. Now for extra credit, you don't have to. That's why it's called extra credit. Only if you want to for extra points. I think it's fun to paint a pitched roof. If you're Googling like attic bedrooms, pitched roof bedrooms, blah, 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 it is kind of fun to like use those angles, and it kind of helps emphasize that focal point of a wall. Or if you really hate your back and hate your neck, you could put some like wooden wall slat paneling up there. I'm not saying it's going to be fun to do. I'm not saying I would do it, but I've seen that people have done it, and it actually could be a very cool project. But painting it would just be way more chill. I might use like that green color from the rug or something and keep it light. The key here, what you want to do as far as like paint color to keep the room light and bright and not darken it too much. Please do not put that forest green on the ceiling. It is going to feel very dark and very cramped. You want to go with like a grayish that has green undertones. So that's going to make it a very light green, moody, vibey, chill. That's what you want. Last two things I'm going to say. I know we never feel like doing it, but let's update that light. That boob light is killing the vibe. It's killing the party. I would get like a hanging light, a bigger one, because we've got all that nice space in the room. Let's put something in the center there. A hanging like papery light or something. It's going to make a huge difference. Look at that difference. Last thing I'll say, slap a wood bench at the end of that bed and we're in business, baby, okay? This is a vibey room. This is a cool room. It's got personality. It's got personality. That's the end of my sentence. I am going to link everything that I can shown here in the video description. But if you like this design style, the TLDR is let's use some of the vertical height in the room so we bring in a little bit of airiness. Everything's not just like sunken sitting on the ground. You don't have to go crazy with a color palette. Find, you know, a rug you like with a color combo you like and just take that everywhere in the room. Put it in your art, put it in your decor accessories. bring a single curved line into the room. There's too many right angles for someone who aspires to a very organic design style. And if you're scared of, you know, making design choices and you're still figuring out your taste, I personally would say invest in things that can just be moved around. A shelf, you can move it around. A throw blanket, you can move it around. A bench, a piece of artwork. That's why I didn't really want to update any of the furniture here, because it is more costly. It feels like a bigger investment, and then I know what happens. We just get paralyzed and we never do anything. So I would start by investing in the things you can move around with that gives you room, like wiggle room, to feel like you can experiment. And just have fun. It's supposed to be fun. This isn't like a secret code that we have to crack. It's not something to lose sleep over or to feel anxious about. It should be fun, and, you know, invest as much time and energy as like feels fun and exploratory and experimental to you. When it stops feeling fun, take a fucking break. That's what I do. Sometimes, like, I love interior design, and sometimes I'm so over it. That's a good time to take a break. Let it be fun, because this is completely frivolous nonsense, and it shouldn't be stressful. What else do I need to tell you guys? I don't think I have anything else to say. I have to go. I have to leave. Goodbye.